Okay, so we're recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to On the Right Track with the Greater Inglewood CDC and the Illinois Small Business Development Center. Glad to have you join us and be back with us again. Hold on one second, Ray. I'm going to answer your call. All right, Ray.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
All right. So we're going to get started. I think I get the feedback, though. So I'm not sure if you can put the other one on mute.
How about now?
Okay, great.
You can feedback now?
Nope,
Good.
that works. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started this week. We're gonna be tackling all that wonderful stuff as it relates to advertising, branding, marketing, all that wonderful thing, exposure, so that people know who you are. It'd be a shame for all of us to do all this work and then nobody knows who you are. As that song says, nobody knows my name. So Ria's gonna take us through that process so that we people can know your name and know your product and know your services so that you can make some money. So we're gonna get started. I did just a couple announcements. One, don't forget live plan. Make sure you're putting stuff in there. We're starting to review your information and sending you comments back. So want to make sure that you're on track with that. Also, if you turn in your service scholarship form, we're going to start getting that to our consultant so that he can have a conversation. His name is Jake. So he can have a conversation with you about the services that you need that he can provide for you. And then also this week is Franchise Expo Week. And I think I put it in the library. So if you're exploring the thought of franchises and things like that, there's an expo that's going to be going on. In fact, I think it's 2 weeks. So that you can actually virtually go in. It's free, and you can look at all the wonderful franchises that are out there if that might be something you're interested in. So just wanted to let you know that. So I'm done. Ria?
Okay, I'm ready. What's that song you said? Everybody knows my name, or is it everybody doesn't know my name?
Oh, it doesn't only, right.
I can't remember. Okay, good evening, everybody. We are going. Can you see my screen? Okay.
I can't see your screen yet.
That's right, because I didn't hit the share button. There we go. Okay.
Now we can see your screen.
Now you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, marketing. Everybody knows my name. All right, so here's our part one. We have a two-part series. So tonight we're going to talk about marketing, a little bit about social media. We're going to save the website piece till next week. So we'll just get started with the marketing. So if we're all ready, I want this to be interactive. So feel free to stop, ask any questions that you have. Tamora, Ray, comment, please. I appreciate that. Just want to go over the learning objectives. We're going to discuss the value of marketing your business. I should ask for a show of hands, but everybody knows the value of marketing your business, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What happens when you don't market your business? Anybody know?
No money.
Right.
No money.
You have the best product or service in the world, and nobody knows you exist. Nobody knows your name. We're going to talk about and understand available marketing tools that are out there for you. We're going to talk a little about defining your company's product and services and how you compare to your competition. And we're going to understand today a little bit about the SWOT analysis. Is everybody familiar with that term, SWOT analysis? Great. We're going to dig a little deeper into that. And number 6 is going to be your assignment for starting next week, because I want you to take a look and define your client profile. And then when we start next week, we'll talk about that client profile and how we can do more to target to that specific market. All right. Talked about the value of marketing. Why is marketing important? All right. We already said nobody knows my name. Nobody knows my product or service. Nobody knows I'm out there. But there's some important reasons why we want to market and why marketing is important. And it's market is an effective way to engage your customers, to let people know what your products and services are, to communicate with them. So when you think about marketing, think about giving your client information that they don't have. One of the ways to market is to share information that your client or your potential client can use in general, so that you start to build a relationship with them. So you can talk about your product, but sometimes you want to do some soft selling. You don't want to necessarily do a hard sell and say, buy my product, it does this, buy widget A, it does this. But if you want to set yourself up as the expert in the industry, then start sharing information with them about the industry, about the products that you serve. Rodney, we talked a little bit this morning. So you can start to share things with your client about what to look for in the quality of a production, what to look for in putting a production piece together. And those things are not saying, I'm selling my product. From that, they know this person is sharing information with them, so they understand what they're doing and they understand just the basis behind it. So I want to look to you as my trusted advisor. You want to become a trusted advisor, and that's going to sell your product and service for you. The other thing is marketing helps to build and maintain the company's reputation. Why do I want to do business with you versus someone else? My reputation. So one of the ways you can do this, and we don't often think about this, but we can get very creative. Let's say I want to know, particularly millennials, I want to know that your company is involved in the community. I want to know that your company is involved in social aspects. So you can start to look for opportunities that may be not very costly, but say you sponsor an event. Say you sponsor a food giveaway, or you're one of the sponsors for that, so that people start to see your name associated with other brands that they trust. Think of yourself as being a sponsor for, there are a lot of donations that are going on out there, and you might, for example, even if it doesn't cost anything, and Rodney, I'm going to pick on you a little bit because we talked earlier, but let's say there's an event coming up and you're going to provide the music for it, right? So that's not really costing you a lot to be a sponsor, but you're providing the music for it, and you get to logo or you get to brand your company on that particular activity. So you can start to look for ways to do that. You can reach out to the local media, start to search your local or community newspapers and see what things are happening. Look for community service type events. They always have those on the different channels on television, and find out what's going on in the community. Could be a small organization, could be a larger organization, but you can attach your brand to that organization if you know that it's trusted. So that's another way to get yourself out there, and you're not necessarily selling your product, but people want to know more about, what the sponsors are. I often, when I'll go to an event and I'll look to see who the sponsors are, and then I'll go research the sponsor. Who is this company? Particularly if I don't know them. If it's a smaller brand, I'll do my research and say, who is this company? Why did they sponsor this event? And that is something you can also put on your website, your social consciousness, so that people understand not just your product and service, but what you're doing for the community, right? Another way is to help build a relationship between the business and its customer. Again, what we're trying to think about from a marketing standpoint is not your hard sale, but I want to build the relationship with the customer. I want them to get to know me, to trust my business, to understand what my business is about, and as well as talk about my product or service. So look for ways that you can, and I've got some notes here, so I'm going to do a little cheating and get to my notes. But find ways to stay in front of your client, okay? find ways to get the right content for them. When you say build and maintain a relationship between your customer, I just talked about a little earlier that we're going to define what our client profile is. So we're going to look at the demographics of our client. And then once we understand the different demographics of our client or the client that we want to have, we can start to do research about what these people are interested in, what's important to them. And then those are the things that I can start sharing information with my client demographic, because let's say I'm a baby boomer. So I'm thinking about this, or I'm a millennial or Gen Xer, and here's the information that I want to receive. And you can start doing a newsletter, start putting a blog. You don't even have to do a blog necessarily, but you can start even on your website. You can put an events page, just a blurb that gives them information and want to come back and find information. Particularly, you can do that on Facebook. You can start reaching out. If your demographic, the other thing about the demographics is what you want to do is understand which social media platform your demographics uses. If you use Facebook, you'll share on Facebook. If that demographic goes for Instagram, you'll share that. You can put the information on Twitter, but you want to understand what your client wants to get information about, and you want to become their trusted source. You want to become their trusted advisor. And really what we're doing is we're dripping on them. You know, we're dripping. I'm giving them a bit of information. I'm letting them get to know me. They're learning about my products and services, but I'm not a hard sell. I want to start to build a relationship by when they think of me, and I think I have Chef Nellie on here. When they start to think of food, they think of Chef Nellie. You know, they think of because I've given them information. I might have given them a recipe. I might have given them something that didn't try to sell them, but I'm like, where did I get that information from? And then they'll start to share that with other people. Marketing is a communications channels used to inform customers. So everything we're doing is really informing the customer about us and about our product and service. Don't just limit it to your product, but I want to also buy from people that I know and trust. If I was a huge, let's take State Farm, for example. Now that's a huge brand, right? But I really am concerned about my State Farm agent. So again, the brand has built itself, but I want to make sure I'm doing business with my agent. I'm not necessarily doing business with the big State Farm agency. I know they have a reputable reputation, but I also am seeing how that agent treats me as a client. Number 5 is marketing helps to boost your sales. So if I'm sharing this information with people about my client, about my products and services and about me, then we're going to tell somebody else. I'm going to share with someone else, or I'm going to share with my circle of friends, my influencers, the people that influence me. I'm going to share, you know, hey, I went to this great restaurant. I got this great recipe. I listened to this great jazz tape. You should really check this website out. You should really see who this person is. You know, you're going to share. So you're boosting your sales by talking to other people, and they're going to talk to other people. It's just the same thing that when you go out to a movie, and, you know, I just saw again Black Panther, right? How many people told everyone how great Black Panther was and to go see it, and again and again and again. All right. Marketing aids that provide insight about your business. So the type of marketing that you present to people. So what you're also doing when you're marketing, you're going to look at your product and service all the way through your marketing. What's the quality of the marketing material that I'm providing? What does it look like? What is if it's a hard copy, what's the quality of the paper? How many times have you received a piece of material from a person and you had to take it because they gave it to you and there wasn't any way you could hide it at the time? But if the paper was flimsy, if the print was crooked, if it looked like it was copied on a bad copier, that didn't make you want to use that person's service, correct?
Right.
Right. So you want to look at every aspect of the marketing. You know, your words, you know, you want to choose your words carefully. You want to choose your marketing aids carefully. You want to choose the connect points that you have to other organizations carefully, because the people are buying the total package, not just the product. The product could be great, and that's wonderful, but think how much more opportunity you would have if the whole package was great. Okay. And also you want to make sure when you're marketing that your business maintains relevance. You don't want to get into the trap of saying, I've got a great client base, they haven't gone anywhere else, so they're always going to stay with me. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. There's going to be a new widget. There's going to be another reason. It's going to be something that comes up that will have them look, and the same thing, that think about how you purchase. You're looking for the best price performance, the best product out there. So you want to make sure that in your marketing that you maintain relevance. What can you do to enhance your product? What can you do to make your product more appealing? When you're selling your product, is there some packaging you can add to, for example, make your price point better? Say, I'm sending you, you'll see all the time on those commercials that say we're going to send you this free. It's not costing them anything to send out the additional package, but you're going to get the product that you requested, but they're also going to send you, let's say, a cookbook that goes along with it. You know, I'm going to send you this, what is it, an air fryer? You have to excuse me, I don't cook much, but it's an air fryer. I'm learning. And then there's all these associated tools that come with it. Well, that's great, right? Because I think I'm getting all this other stuff for free, but I'm really not, because they have looked at the value of what these products are and the cost of their product, and they're not losing money, trust me. But I, as a consumer, think that I'm getting such a great deal. So you want to keep your product relevant. You want to keep your customer engaged. You want to let them think they're always getting something in addition to just that one product or service. Just look for ways uniquely to stay relevant in the marketplace. Why is marketing important?
Hold on a second, Rhea.
Yeah.
Ray had something.
So Rhea, the thing that you just mentioned in terms of relevance is really, I think, a big keystone in running a small business. Because if your business is no longer relevant, if it starts becoming less relevant, that means your capacity to be sustainable is evaporating. And to overcome that, you have to, be aware of that decline. So if you're no longer relevant to some of your customers, you need to find that out on a real-time basis and do something about it. One thing you could do, you kind of mentioned it, is put out surveys and offer something for someone to fill out a survey. Give them some discount or some small sample of a larger product, so that you can get clarity with respect to satisfying that customer. And if there's something wrong, you want to know that right away, because you can't react. If you react too late, you're going down into a downward spiral. The world's going to pass you by. So I can't really emphasize any more that how important it is to stay relevant, because that's the key to this whole thing.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the marketing tools that are available to you. So let's think of them in terms of traditional media, and that's television, print, and a lot of print media is digital. One of the things that we think about is, for example, television. You might say, well, I can't be on television. It costs too much. I mean, that's just not in my budget, right? But look at all the shows that are out there, for example, and I can't pick a station, but I'm going to say each one of them does it, like particularly Channel 5, Channel 7, all of them, the major markets, they're looking for that unique product or that unique person, or you want to create a story that the media will be interested in sharing, and that will give you free advertising. They Channel 5 does a lot of it. They have I'll think of it and send you the name, but they go out and search for, like community events, community activities. So again, that's another way to engage your product or service in a particular event in the community, and you'll get that free airtime. You also want to do that from a print standpoint. Again, let's look at the local media. They're always looking for stories. The reporters, if you can become a reporter's best friend and give them a story, do you know how wonderful their lives will be, that they don't have to daily go and try to shake the bushes to find out what the stories out there. So create opportunities where you become the story. And so one of the things you can do is go to the websites for the stations and go and look at the different categories of stories they run, and determine if there is something that you have done or you can do that would fit into that category. And all their reporters are listed on the site. So their email addresses are there. You can call the station. So they're always looking for people to send them news. So that's another way that you can get some great media for yourself and not have to pay for it. The same thing with the print. Look at the local print, like Chicago Defender, the Reader. Go to their websites and look, and the reporters will actually show you. They have their reporters broken down by the category of story they cover. They'll have a business reporter, they'll have a music reporter, they'll have, and so you can email them, share a story with them, and who knows, they may call you and they may be interested in running an article on you. And don't worry about, sometimes what they'll do is they will take stories and put them, what they say, in the can, and they'll run them on a slow news day. So just, don't be discouraged if, the reporter's going to run a story. They'll tell you it's sitting in the can, and if there's a slow news day, we'll run this story. So that's a way for you to reach out and to determine, or ask them. The other thing is to ask them what type of stories they're interested in, what do they like to report on. Just, they're human, just like the rest of us. So engage with them, get to know them, and they will think of you, and they will reach out to you if there's something they're doing or special they're running, and they need some content. And you can share with them the information on your website as well. So don't forget about traditional media, because the cost might not necessarily be one that you have to incur, but the station will pick it up because they want to do a story on you or your product or service. Any questions on that? Okay, now we're going to move on to social media. So these are not all of the social media tools that you can use, but they're pretty common. So we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, blogs. What is the other one? TikTok. I have no idea what that is. I'm not even trying to learn it, but it's another one. One of the things I want to caution you on with social media, this happens to everybody that I know, is you immediately decide you want to be on every platform. There are only so many hours in the day. So do not decide to be on every platform. Again, we're going to look at the demographics of our audience, of our client base, or the clients that we're trying to attain, and determine what platform they use. Most common ones are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can do a LinkedIn page, but what happens is once you get on social media, you're engaging with the client, you're engaging with that person. So you're going to have to keep engaged. So one of the things you might want to look at is just starting with one platform, or look at what your product is and decide the best platform for it. If your product has a lot of visuals, again, I'm going to look at food, that's Instagram. You want to start to put those pictures of food out on Instagram. You want to start to put those, you want to start to become your own food artist, and you want to stage your food. You want to prep your food, take pictures of it. That's perfect for Instagram. LinkedIn, you can go on LinkedIn, and for example, again, Rodney, if you don't mind, you can start a conversation about what's your favorite genre. from a music standpoint. LinkedIn is very good at allowing you to start conversations and to gain other people in those conversations with you. And then what happens when you start conversations, other people say, hey, I'm on this great conversation. I'm learning about this. They're going to invite their friends. So that tends to grow and grow and grow. Another thing about social media, particularly Facebook and LinkedIn, is they have groups that are available. So you can decide to join a group. You can create a group, and these groups can be anywhere. I've seen groups with, tens of thousands of people, particularly if you look at your universities, or if it's a fraternity or a sorority, you've got groups that you automatically have a captive audience where you can share your product or your service or engage. One of the things that you have to do, though, is when you join the groups, be careful that this is a soft sell, not a hard sell, because they don't want you to be in the group to sell your product. Unless it's a group that is about entrepreneurs, unless it's a group that's set up particularly and they know that you are joining this group because you have a product or service that you want to share. Otherwise, you want to start to create the same type of conversation that you were doing before with sharing marketing, sharing ideas, informing people. You want to take the position of being an educator and an informer as opposed to a salesperson. And then you want to create a situation where, which is often good, if you can create a question that will engage people and bring them to you. Same thing on Facebook, create a question. Don't just make a statement, but to bring that audience to you so that you can engage and continue to grow the conversation. Any questions?
Rhea, I just wanted to add, also, there is something called Hootsuite or something where you can do one post, but then it'll post on those different medias, and sometimes that might help as well. But you still, like you said, need to stick to just the ones that you really know where your target audience is, and that you'll get more of a response. The other thing I thought of, and this is for everybody that's on the line, is the blogs. I think, you can use Facebook and all the other ones to ask questions, but I think if you are the expert in your area, to kind of sit down and think about some topics that you can talk about, so that then in that blog or that statement or whatever, you're asking people to comment back. What do you think? How do you think about this? What do you think about this? And you, of course, you can put pictures and stuff on there, but I think blogs work really well just to start the conversation. It's a soft sale, pretty much. It's just conversation. You're getting people are getting to know who you are, and then also when they're commenting back, then that's the opportunity to find out who they are and to get their insight about some things. But so I think blogs, especially for people that are just starting out and getting their name out there, that blogs could be a bonus for them.
Great. Yeah. And I wanted to add to what Tamora said. Definitely there's Hootsuite, and there's some other tools that will allow you to post out. You can, and we were talking earlier, Rodney, about the calendar that you put together. So you can create your social media calendar, and you can actually put your post out for a month or 2 months, and it automatically posts that information for you when the date and time occur. So you don't have to try to do that every day, because it can be a little consuming.
This with Hootsuite?
Yeah.
Okay. And are there alternatives? Because I know Hootsuite has been around for a while. Are there other ones I should look at?
Yeah, there are some. And Hootsuite has a free version and a fee version.
Okay.
So you may want to look and see what you can get with the free version. And I know there's another one. I'll look up and find it and send it out, put it in the information for the class. There's another one for Instagram as well, but I'll do some research and see what other tools that are out there. I think Hootsuite is the most popular one, but there are some other tools, and you can post those. The other thing I want to talk about, Facebook does a really good job if you want to do some paid advertising to do an outreach to a particular demographic. So you can really drill down with an ad and decide what zip code you want to reach, what target market, what age group, what their interests are. That will really hone in to see who responds to you. And I've done a lot of Facebook ads, and that's been actually very successful, where we've had different events and people would say, I heard about this on Facebook, and we actually targeted the market, the interest area, and also the zip code that we wanted to reach. So that's worked out really well. So you might want to try that. The other thing before we jump to the email marketing, the other thing when you're placing, for example, you can do this with Facebook or Instagram, but any of those is to try different marketing ideas or wording. Try your content to see which works and to see what response you get back. So you're saying that you're taking something and you're making it, let me say the best way to say this, you're changing your content slightly, but your message is similar. And then you want to see which one gets the most responses. What you can do that as well. They call it A and B marketing. So when you're, for example, if you're doing email marketing, and I think everybody's familiar with email marketing, but I want to do a campaign, and this works with, when you're doing the email marketing, it assumes that you already have the list of people that you're sending to. But what you're doing when you're doing the A and B marketing, you're creating two different messages, similar, but you're sending them to the same audience, and you're going to see what the open rate is. And that's going to let you see, give you an idea as the best way to word the information, who's going to open it. And also when you're doing email marketing, you want to start your phrases with action. You want to always use action words like act now, limited time offer. So because everybody gets a lot of email, you want that caption to make me have a sense of urgency that I need to look at this now, or this discount lasts for 3 days, or give me a time limit so that I just don't not look at it and forget to open it at all. Questions? Okay. All right. So when we talk about media and marketing, just like anything else, we need to develop a strategy. So before you jump into the ocean or jump into the pond, step back and decide what your strategy is going to be, what your demographics are going to be, who you want to go after, and what platforms you want to use. And you can start small. Just start simple, start small, so that, again, you're not on every platform. If you're not using the tool like Hootsuite, you still have to manage Hootsuite though. I mean, it's going to allow you to put some marketing forward and to post things, a month out or 2 months, or as far as you want to put them out, but you're still going to have to do the research and the work to do that. So think about what audience I'm going after, what's my demographics, and how I want to leverage the media. You might want to test a couple things out, and you want to continue to do this in your marketing campaign. Always revisit to find out what's working and what's not working. You're going to be able to do this also throughout the calendar year. Something might work better in February than it does in October. So you're constantly looking at what your responses are. So you want to start to manage your marketing and your business based upon the data. What a lot of small business owners have done in the past is they have done something that they feel is intuitive. I think this is going to work. I feel this is going to work. I just know this is going to be the right thing. We want business owners to start to do what the large corporations do, and they do it on the data. So you want to start to capture, was this successful, and what does success mean? If I sent 100 emails out, what's success to you? Typically 10% is a great success ratio. So you want to look at them, you want to go and do some research on the internet and figure out, okay, if I do an email marketing campaign, what's a good success factor? If I do a social media campaign, what's a good success factor? And then that's where you want to start to test your market and to see what your what the data is telling you, and then tweak it based upon the data, not your intuition. Okay, are we familiar with the 7 P's marketing mix? Okay, so you always want to continue to look at your product and your services. So we're going to go around and talk about this a little bit. The first thing you want to do is, and Ray talked about this and piggybacked off of what I said earlier, is your product. Is it relevant? Is it something that is still viable in the marketplace? We know with COVID-19, we've had to pivot quite a bit. So if I did things in person, I know I've had to pivot to do them online. So take a look at your product, and we talked about this. Tamora's talked about this in earlier classes, and Ray as well, is look at my product, look at the environment, look at the marketing situation, and find out what needs to change, if anything, about my product, and make that adjustment. Okay. The placement, where am I showcasing my product? How am I showcasing my product? Again, because of COVID, everything is done online. A lot of things are done online, not everything, but a lot of things are done online. So how is my product being placed? Now, the other thing you want to look at is what type of product you have. What is the best way to present my product, particularly if your product was something that you physically sold. How do I need to adjust the look and feel of that to make it viable online? Is it best that it's a photo, or should it be a video? What's the best way to showcase? For my guys that I see in music, you want people to hear you. That's got to be some music. That's got to be something I can capture in my, I can hear. For my cook, my chefs, I want the food. I want to see it. But it could also be a video of you preparing a dish, a very simple dish. I mean, there's so many shows out there that engage people in the marketing and the television. You could do that on YouTube. You can prepare a very simple dish. You could look and say, we don't have a lot of time right now in the age of COVID. We've got many things that we're doing. So what dishes can I prepare quickly and simply in the kitchen to feed the family? That might be something you want to put on a video, and you can put that on your website. You can put that on Facebook. You can take that Facebook video, then you can reach out to a certain demographic and that you're going to target, who's interested in food, who you think might not have a lot of time to prepare the food, and see what happens and you can do an ad for very inexpensively for $10. You can go out and you'll get a lot of reach with that, and just see what you get back. And make sure that when you put that ad out, you want to put language in there that's bringing that client or that potential customer back to you. If you want to find out more about how to do this, or if you want to sign up to my website to get future articles or videos, subscribe here, email me here, get your contact information, and we can chat more. So you want to do those things. The other thing is you always want to look at the price of your product. What can I do to make myself more competitive or as competitive? So that could be bundling. That could be, the 2-for-1. I have specials that I'm giving. I can, do another product that's not as expensive to bundle with my product to make, again, my client or my potential client thinking I'm getting more. You want to look at the pricing for that. You also want to start to do the research out there to find out what your products that are similar to yours, what are they going for? Do your comparison market. Again, you want to look at the data. What does the data tell you? I'm selling my product for $50 and my competitor is selling it for $40. What's happening here? How can I adjust my cost for that? How am I promoting my product? What type of promotion? Where should I be promoting my product? Who should be seeing my product? Again, from a promotion standpoint, you want to think about the demographics. who is more likely to buy my product than someone else, or if it's across the range, then if I'm promoting my product, I'm going to promote the same product differently to a different demographic. I'm going to promote it differently to a baby boomer than I am to a Gen Xer, than I am to a millennial. They're going to look for different things. They're going to look on different platforms. So it's the same product, but how do I present it 3 different ways? The people part of the marketing mix is it talks about your company. And they used, when I was doing the research on this, it was very familiar to me because they talked about IBM. And I'm an ex-IBMer, former IBMer. And they talked about that the product and service that was sold at IBM, the founder of IBM, there was a certain look. And that, you know, everybody who's come in contact with anybody from IBM knew it was a blue suit, a white shirt, wing-toed shoes, and, you know, that look. So what this means, though, is you want to be recognized not just for your product, but everyone associated with your product. You want that appearance to always be prestige. You want it to, you know, you don't want the person selling your product to look like they just woke up, to look like they didn't sleep at all. You want to have your product not be overshadowed by a person who doesn't speak the English language well. So those are things that are important. If I want to deal with a company, it's not just the product, you know, that's going to take me so far, but at some point, if there's going to be expanded customer service, and customer service is key. And I have to ask this question because how many people have seen the drop in customer service? Anyone? Or is every customer service representative you get just wonderful, right? It's horrible. People don't think about customer service anymore. And customer service is key. You know, how they answer the phone, how they share the information. And it's not that the customers are always right, but you always want to be respectful to the client. So when you look at your people, that's really important because people want to do business with someone that's easy to do business with. And then the process, you know, how this is also something to look at, the process by which your client gets your product. This is also something when you look at from a pricing standpoint, when you talk about the supply chain, you know, what's involved in getting the product to you? What's involved in putting that together? You know, the packaging. How are all these pieces adding to the price of your product, adding to the time delay of your product? Look at Amazon. I mean, Amazon, I won't say everybody likes Amazon, but my experience of Amazon is I'm going to get my product, but more than likely they're going to deliver it to the wrong house. That's been my experience, you know. So I'm not as sold on Amazon because I'm gonna have to go find my product. So their process has some big glitches in it. But from your standpoint, take a look at your product from manufacturing, or if it's a service, from the creation of it all the way to the end user, the delivery of it, and find out how you can streamline your process, how you can make your process less expensive so that your price can be more competitive. So you want to look at all those pieces together and also figure out your packaging. How is your product delivered? If it's a service, how is it presented? If it's a tangible product, how is it packaged? What's the packaging? That's just as important as the product itself in many cases. And the physical evidence, you know, what do people get and see with your product? If I purchase something from you that's $50 and I get a little bitty tiny something, well, I'm not going to think the value is there, right? So, you know, take a look at the whole package and what's included in, you know, the physical delivery of it, the packaging of it, the product, the placement. Look at everything associated with it. Any questions?
Rhea, before you
Yes.
go on, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so before you go on, I just had a couple of little observations. With respect to the product factor, one of the things that I've always been concerned about is that does your product have proof of concept? In other words, is it still kind of something in your mind and it's not really developed yet? And so I can think of several examples of clients we've had who've kind of gone ahead and decided to spend a lot of money on a very expensive website, but they didn't have the product in an operational sense. It wasn't, it was just maybe a drawing. In other words, it didn't even have a tangible product built yet. Okay, and so when you're running across something like that and you're putting out a lot of money to try to sell something, what are you selling? If you're selling something that's not clear, it's not tangible yet, that means you don't have proof of concept. And you don't want to do something out of sequence that's going to waste a lot of money if you don't have clarity with respect to what it is that you've got. What is your product? Tangibly, what is it? And so that's something that I think helps a great deal with respect to the marketing aspects of your product, because then you have the capacity to have conviction in it. You can clearly communicate about it, and you've got something to show. It's not just theoretical. The other thing that I thought kind of resonates with me when you talk about people, organizations have cultures, okay? So organizational culture matters. And if you've got something that is not focused on doing the right thing, in other words, if someone is trying to, sell a product regardless of whether or not they'll stand up and take care of it if something goes wrong, that tells me that their culture is based on incentives that are false incentives, and they're on incentives that don't lead to the customer satisfaction that you're trying to achieve. So think about the people that you want to work with you on your team. You want them to be providing the same cultural values that you have to customers. This is your business. Mm-hmm. This represents you. So when someone works for you, they're representing you. And so you want to make sure that, you've got clarity with respect to your organizational expectations of culture.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good.
Great. The other thing is I want to add, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, is that last piece of what it says physical evidence, and that refers to everything your customer sees when interacting with your business, and kind of piggybacks on what Ray says. It's everything. It's the product, it's the packaging, it's the people associated with it. So the physical evidence is, think of when you receive a product or service and everything is just perfect. Has anyone ever purchased something and just you felt like this was money well spent?
Yeah.
If I have an example that somebody can share, I mean, I just felt like the pride was in the product from conception to manufacturing to delivery. That's what you want to have people think about your product, and your service, that the physical evidence is there, that this is a quality organization from beginning to end.
Yeah, Rhea, I actually purchased, it was like it's a neck massager, but you can put it on your legs, it'll massage your legs. And I was reading the description, I got it off of Amazon, and everybody, they had a score, a top score, all the stars were filled in. And the reviews were, man, I shouldn't have went to a masseuse. I should have just got this. And it was great. And so I bought it. And so when I got it, it actually has its own travel bag. So you can put it in the travel bag. It has the portal that you can put it in a cigarette lighter, or you can plug it up on a wall. And it has all of these things in it. So the little balls that move, it also has a heating one. So if you wanted to massage you with heat, you can do that. And I mean, everything was like perfect with it. And I was like, wow. And so when I turned it on, it's the reviews did not lie. You know, because it deep massages you. So it massages you one way, and then it will massage you the next way. And then basically, if you want to massage your feet, you want to massage your neck, your shoulders, your arm, whatever, you can get all of that in this one product. But the way they packaged it, and I think the impressive thing was it came in its own bag. So now if I want to take the massager, it's actually a nice quality bag. I can put the massager in there with my port, so I can plug it in a cigarette lighter or car, but I can plug it in also just wall outlet, perfect. And you know, and I have no complaints. So I put my review in and said, yeah, this is a good product. But everything was packaged well. It was Amazon. It came through UPS. I got it, no problem, and it was worth the value of the dollar.
Great, great. So if you go back to item number 5 that said marketing helps to boost your sales, this is an example, because I need Tamora to email me the name of that product so that I can order it. But that's just an example we have how the marketing of your product and the total package, the processing and everything boosts your sales. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see, where are we now? I'm not going to go over this, but this is really understanding the marketing mix, which is just what we talked about, that you just wanted to go through and constantly and consistently reevaluate your products and services with that marketing mix. You know, make sure your pricing is there, where you're placing it, how your promotions are. That's something that you don't just do one time, but you do over and over again to make sure that you're staying relevant in the market. Now we're going to talk a lot, and I know we're getting short on time. So I think what I may do is just introduce the SWOT analysis and give you that as a homework assignment. And then also we'll talk about defining our client profile. And then next week or Thursday, when we come back together, we can have you, I'll put the information on the site, and you can actually do the SWOT analysis for your business and also define your client profile. And then we can talk about that. But just briefly, what the SWOT analysis is, a SWOT analysis is a process of brainstorming technique. It's designed to help you understand what might differentiate you from your competition and what resources you have to execute upon that opportunity. And it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So here is the quadrants that you want to look at and the questions that you want to ask yourself. And this is not just limited to your product, but this is what you should look at in every aspect of your business. So if you look at that 7P mix that we just went through, you can take each one of those slices and do a SWOT analysis. You know, let's look at my products. What are the strengths of my products, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats? Then I can go over to my price, and I can do this each one. For example, if you have HR or if you don't have employees, but you do this in every aspect of your product or service and determine what your strengths and weaknesses are. And this is something that you do again and again and again. You don't have to, these are not things that you have to do every day, but it might be good to, if you can't do them once a quarter, do them twice a year, or at a minimum once a year, to make sure that you're relevant and you're still on target and you're on base in the marketplace. So I'm going to put this information out there. I'm going to give you some examples and have you take a look at that. And if you would, try to do the SWOT analysis against your own product and services, and we'll talk about it next on Thursday. And then also what I want you to do is I want you to identify your client profile. Who has a clear understanding of who their client is? Okay. So
everybody should. Everybody should be waving their hands. Me, 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 me.
So I want you to take this exercise and I want you to look at it two ways. I want you to take a look and see who your current clients are. Also, what would be great if you could put together a little survey, and I'll see if I can put something out there for you to reach out to your current clients and ask them questions about your products and services. We always like to tell, if I get a chance to, and let's see, and I know this made a difference, but I have a Walgreens when it's going to be up and running again, but there's a Walgreens on the 2 blocks from me. And every time I go in there, I come back and I do a survey. And I thought it was working, but when I went into Walgreens at one point, I went into the parking lot and it was full of potholes. I said, this is ridiculous. So I went into my custy little Walgreens survey and I specifically talked about the potholes. I kid you not, the next time I was in Walgreens, which was about the next week, there were no potholes in the parking lot. It was amazing. So they read those surveys. So your customers want to tell you information as to how to improve your products and services, and it's not necessarily how to improve them, but they can tell you what would you like to see as an add-on? What would you like to see as a bonus if I were to create something like this? You'll get a lot of information from your clients. So we're going to look at this from our current client profile, but we're also going to look at this from what do we want our client profile to be? What clients do we have now? And if that's fine, if those are the clients we want to maintain, but also as we grow and extend our business, what markets do I want to enter into? And what does that client profile look like? And I can determine my marketing strategy against that client profile.
So Rhea, I want to just kind of add some of them, if you did your kind of homework assignment, one of those sheets was to do an interview of people, to ask them about your product or your service and to get some feedback. So a few I've read and people have turned them in, but that can be a starting point to actually then helping to answer some of these questions as well. So it is something that's on the platform right now. It was a Word document where you typed in, but the whole purpose was for you to interview somebody, ask them about your product, your service, and to get some feedback. So.
Okay, so I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. And thank you everyone for your time. And do you have any questions or comments? I'm looking at the chat. Let's see. I understand SWOT much better now, Rhea. Okay, very good. So I'm going to put a couple exercises out there for you to look at. Yes,
go ahead,
Ray.
So Rhea, I really like your description of the client profile. I think it's very useful. When you talked about getting, in essence, an understanding of your clients, and then getting an expectation of maybe what additional clients you want, or the target of the next group of customers. That's kind of a pivot role, obviously. And we've been talking a lot about pivot for a long time. But I guess what I was wondering about is, in terms of what your product is itself, do you need to make adjustments to your existing product? So it's not just a matter of adjusting with respect to a different marketing strategy, but is it also a matter of also maybe adjusting your product to attract that different customer base? And so that's really where I think it's not just one or the other, it's probably both. And so in thinking about that, I believe that we always have to be kind of mindful of the fact that our clients are our clients today, but we want them to be sustainable over time. And so even if we're saying we're going to go after a different set of clients, we don't necessarily want to lose what we have either. It's just it's really more or less like game theory. You just have to keep focusing attention on what you're trying to achieve and make the right adjustments on a real-time basis to do it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, that was great, Ray. Let me just add, I think what you want to do with that client profile is you want to take the client profile and mirror it or match it with the 7 Ps. And you're going to have different marketing, you're going to have different placement, pricing strategy for the different client base that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You want to make sure that this is the client profile. Now go and look at that 7P strategy and say, what does my packaging need to look like? What does my pricing need to be? Where's the placement? How does that product need to change? Is it a brand new product? And marry those two together.
And I just wanted to add before we close out is that for each one of you, I think this is an activity that you should really look at, particularly what Rhea shared earlier on kind of communicating with your potential client or your current client, is to consider those avenues of social media. And also I'm emphasizing blogs, particularly if you're a consultant. So if you're a consultant or providing that type of service where you're trying to get people to buy into your consulting service or your training program or something like that, blogging is a good way of doing that, because you can kind of bring up a topic and start having a conversation and invite people to respond back to you so that then you can engage them. But it has to be a consistency so that people know, and a blogger, they make big time money if you are a good blogger, because there's a consistency. So it's more sitting down, figuring out what the conversation is going to be about, so that then when you do blog, you can probably have a series, 3 months, 6 months worth of material to really talk about. But I think it could be used particularly for consultants and service providers to kind of talk about their subject. You're the expert, so now you're talking about the subject, but you may meet some other people and some things that you hadn't thought of. So I wanted to emphasize, particularly if you're a consultant or something like that, that blogging could be a good way for you to carry on a conversation. And then also, I had mentioned the chef, and I shot her an email. I was like, I would anytime show up for a taste test, a virtual taste test, where I would buy a ticket. You have the meal, I get the meal, and then I get on a virtual where all of us are eating, and I taste your product, and we sit down and talk about, well, that was it was too soft for me. And then you catch all that information. One, it's a customer, because now I've paid for it. You got my name, my address, my city, my state. You got a mailing list. And then you can always blast and say, hey, Tamora, I got these wonderful lamb chops this week coming up. That's the way now as a chef. You don't have to have a store. That's the way you can communicate. I'm seeing people do it with wine tasting, because you buy the bottle of wine, you pay for the ticket to be online with this conversation, you pour it and they smell and sniff and whatever you're supposed to do with wine. I just drink it. But you buy the bottle of wine, and then you get on this virtual thing, and everybody's like holding their wine and swirling it, and then they conversating about what this wine tastes like. You could do it with food too. So that's my 2 cents for tonight.
So there's that was great, Tamora. And Chef, I'm in on that one too, okay?
Yeah, I'm ready. Just tell me how much the ticket is, and I'll get the food, and let's do that.
So there's a question that talks about how do you invite people to read your blogs or join email lists. So now if you're on, so there's a couple things you can do. So remember I talked about those groups that are out there in LinkedIn and are on Facebook. So you can go out and see what groups you want to join, and they'll tell you how many people are in the group. You know, some of them are private, so you have to visit and, you know, ask to join. They'll ask you why you want to join. But right there, you have a potential. Some of those groups are 5,000, 10,000 people. You can join, and then when you're writing something or sharing information with them, you can let them know, here's what I do. I'd like to get some feedback. Can you please share your email with me, or can you reach out to me at this website? So that's a way to invite them to join. You can also do that on Facebook. And if you do that on Facebook, and you can do that on Instagram, it's a little bit difficult on Instagram, but it's easy on Facebook. So look and see what demographics you want to go after, and you can put something out there and request that they visit a site. And Wesley just chimed in and said you can also do that on hashtags too. Thanks, Wesley. You can find individuals, information, and invite them to connect with you. So that's a way of, as opposed to having to physically be out and meet someone, use the social media platforms and give them your information, or have them email you some feedback. Ask a question. You know, the easiest way to do that is to ask a question, ask for some information, and then when they send that to you, you know, you'll get the email address or you'll get their contact information.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, so we all done tonight, Rhea?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Great session. If you have any questions or anything, you know how to reach us. Hit that live plan. I need you to hit the live plan. So because I'm getting ready to do our next round of scholarships, so I need to be able to have something in order to give you a scholarship. So don't turn it down. Some of these packages now are, somebody got their website and all that stuff done. It was $850. It's paid for. Okay, so don't turn this down. This is a great opportunity. So figure out what the services you are, and if it's something that wasn't on the list, let's work it out. Let's see if we can still get it done for you. But really appreciate you tonight. See you on Thursday. And don't forget, Franchise Expo is this week. So if you're interested in the Franchise Expo, I can send the link out to you, and check that out. Last year was pretty interesting. So, all right.
All right.
See ya.
See you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night.